This is the Lifestream Final Fantasy Podcast, episode number 17 for April 6th, 2016. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Lifestream Final Fantasy Podcast. I am Mike Ficklin, also known as Vader SW1 on the forums, and joining me on this mythic quest into all things Final Fantasy are Carlie.
Hello.
Lex.
Hey there.
Ryushikaze.
I'm not the last one in the introductions this week, people. It's a miracle.
And that is because joining us for the first time in, Jesus, how long's it been? It's Tetsujin.
Hello.
And, geez, it seems like it's been forever. We recorded the big, long Final Fantasy IV retrospective episode, and we split that into two, and it's probably been about a month since we've convened here, so I think we're going to have a bit of fun with this episode. We had the Uncovered Final Fantasy XV event. I had noted at the beginning of the second part of the retrospective that we would be doing a mini episode for this, but we had some issues, so we decided to hold off and actually do a whole episode dedicated to this, because I think there's actually enough information that probably wouldn't have fit very well in a 30-minute time frame. So, that being said, for those just joining us for the first time, basically what this show is going to be about is for an hour or so, we're going to discuss anything and everything dealing with Final Fantasy. We'll hit upon recent news and notes and delve into a different topic of discussion each episode. If you have a recommendation for something we should discuss, feel free to hit us up at lifestreampod@gmail.com or comment on the episode posts on the forums each week. And yeah, like I said, Uncovered Final Fantasy 15, guys. How did we feel about it?
It was awesome. And I didn't think it was going to be.
It's pretty damn good.
I am going to... Oh, go ahead, Ryu.
Oh, I was just going to say, they did a pretty good job about keeping the enthusiasm up the entire time and just sort of continually teasing shit just to go, oh, and you thought we were done, here's some more bullshit. Oh, wait, here's bigger bullshit. Oh, did we mention bullshit? Sorry, you ain't seen bullshit.
So, I didn't get a chance
glorious bullshit.
I didn't get a chance to watch the pre-show at all, so I didn't see what actually happened during the pre-show. I assume you guys watched some of the pre-show. What exactly went down?
Yeah.
It was basically just cosplayers and shit.
One of the guys there, the British one, was so lost. It was very sad to watch.
Are you talking about like a host or one of the cosplayers?
One of the hosts.
Oh, okay.
They have four, but the British one, which for some reason, and the American ship were the ones that were there the most. He did great. He was completely lost.
I did want to go ahead and bring up, since we're talking about the pre-show, I believe it was during the pre-show that they showed off a Final Fantasy 15 calendar with some fan artwork, and Lifestream.net member Awato, I hope that's how he pronounces it, is it Awato, had featured artwork in there, and we actually put that up on the front page of the Lifestream.net, so check that out.
Yep,
it's
that was
fantastic.
An awesome moment.
Yeah,
we were watching it and we were like, "Oh, it's the calendar! Oh, there it is!" And then they showed like this montage of all the fan art, and Awato's art got like a couple of seconds on the screen as well. It was really cool.
Very cool.
I think we even freaked out even more than Awato did. Like they were just like freaking out. Oh my god, this is so fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a proud moment for Awato. That's awesome. And is Awato he, she? I apologize, I'm not sure.
Awato is male, I think.
Okay. Well, I just want to congratulate Awato for that. That's awesome work. His artwork is gorgeous. He's if you get a chance, he's got he's mentioned a page where his artwork can be found, and I will actually put that in the show notes this week so people can check out his artwork because it's outstanding. So yeah, they actually opened the actual Uncovered event with having Hironobu Sakaguchi come out, and that was a bit of a surprise. I had seen an article earlier in the week talking about how Hironobu might have been, or Square might have reached out to him, but I had no idea he was actually going to be at the show, so that was a really pleasant surprise.
I had no idea he was going to be there, and I recognized his face. And I was like, on the stream, which by the way you can watch on the YouTube channel, like our reactions to the stream, so I just went, like as soon as I saw his face, it's like, I can't believe it's him, no way. Yeah, that was such a great moment.
Yeah, it was pretty cool of them to do that.
Sounds like he's giving his thumbs up to Final Fantasy 15. So, I mean, that's kind of an enormous statement for the guy that actually created the Final Fantasy series. So, that's got to make you feel good.
Very, very optimistic about what was going on with it.
It would have been nice if they had actually shown the subtitles on the screen behind him, because the camera often didn't focus on that.
Yeah, or at least ran maybe the subtitles at the bottom of the screen or something, which, oddly enough, there was a lot of weird glitches during the show like that. Did you guys have issues at one point with picking
with
up...
random French?
Or I actually had Japanese also.
That too, yeah.
Well, the Japanese would be normal, but I got a confession. I did not know who that guy was, even for the name.
What?
Until the... So, I don't know. Sorry,
Carlie!
I did not know.
I am shocked.
I am shocked and appalled.
It's okay.
What?
Get off this podcast. Leave now.
Okay, to be fair, from what I mentioned before about my knowledge of Final Fantasy, should this really shock you guys?
Nope.
But Carlie,
We're just going to continue to shame you and tell you to keep playing games.
You've been amongst the
Get it
community
right.
for quite a while now. I can't believe through osmosis you haven't picked up who Hironobu Sakaguchi is.
So that means that really you guys are to blame here.
Was Sakaguchi invented Final Fantasy? Like, how can you not know who that is? Oh my god.
Well, I found out between watching that, but at the time, no, I did not know. I knew it was a guy that invented it that wasn't in Final Fantasy anymore in the company, but I did not know what his name was.
Come on, you gotta know the Gooch. He's the Gooch.
Well, I know now, but no, I did not know back then.
They put his face in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, that's something you should be familiar with, Carlie. Jesus.
Is it the same as knowing his name?
Shocking.
So, funny aside about Sakaguchi, after leaving Square Enix because he wasn't working on Final Fantasy anymore, he went and created The Last Story, which is an awesome game, but it's basically the blackjack and hookers of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, no,
Or
I've
games
never
now.
played it.
My favourite moment was when he said, like any child, you sometimes wonder if they're going in the
Final
right
Fantasy
direction.
13.
And you just knew it was a reference.
Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, his child went through this awkward drug phase, so...
Yeah.
Can we include the original version of Final Fantasy XIV in that too?
We probably should, since that
And
was more of
11.
a disaster than 13 ever was.
And probably 11.
Maybe.
And the movie. Definitely the movie.
The movie happened before he left. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
He was very
obviously
big into that movie.
Okay,
What?
so I can see why he left.
The Spirits Within came out in like 1999. Like, come on. that was-
2001. It was
2001.
Was it really?
Yes, that I do know because I saw it in a movie theater.
Are you thinking of the Animatrix, Lex?
No, I was thinking. I associate the Spirits Within with Final Fantasy VIII for some reason, just because I'm sure they said they were working on it at the same time and they had like the same level of CG at the time, and that's where it came from. I barely remember.
For some reason, I always equated it with Final Fantasy IX because it seemed like Final Fantasy IX was out right around that time. I could be wrong. Regardless, Sakaguchi wasn't the only guest that they ended up rolling out during the show. They actually had a little video message from Nobuo Uematsu, which was awesome too.
I do know who that is.
Thank God.
Oh, thank God.
That was a nice touch.
It really was. It really feels like Square was going out of its way to make people feel comfortable with being excited for Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah,
Slightly disappointing that he said that he isn't going to do any music for this game, but on the other hand, we have Yoko Shimomura, and that's going to be awesome too.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Yep.
The music sounds awesome so far. So
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
yeah, it's outstanding. That is definitely one of the big highlights from even just watching the trailers and playing the episode to Sky demo. It's the music's great.
I feel like Yoko Shimomura is definitely the most worthy replacement for Uematsu, in my opinion.
I've heard a lot of people say that, Tets, and I think I tend to agree with you, especially if you can't have Uematsu himself.
I felt a little bit like she could have been given a bit more attention, considering she's the composer. I think her name was mentioned once.
Yeah,
during the whole thing.
They had her stand up, and she kind of acknowledged the crowd and stuff real quick, and then she sat right back down like she was kind of embarrassed.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, here's this, couple of minutes long video message from Uematsu, and then they talk for a bit about the music, and then they kind of go, oh, by the way, here's the actual composer. It's a bit like, I don't know, a bit disrespectful.
Yeah, Shimomura
almost.
Definitely deserves more attention.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually brings up a fair point what you were talking about, Lex, and even it seemed like they were rushing for some reason, and the people that they were trying to, or that they did bring on stage and do interviews with and such, it just was so awkward. Specifically when they brought the actors from Kingsglaive up. Lena Headey looked like she wanted nothing to do with being up on that stage.
I think it's very, very clear, right, that they did not. Lena Headey does not know what Final Fantasy is. She doesn't. She probably was like, why am I here? Like,
yes.
Someone said, we'll pay you this money if you go on the stage and pretend to be excited about this project you just did. And like any good actor, she's gone on stage and promoted her product as you would in a talk show. But maybe they were all a bit kind of unaware of how much of a fandom event it was. I've seen more awkward interviews, to be honest, so I didn't think it was that bad. I was kind of hyped. Just kind of laughed through it.
If you watch interviews she does from other things, including Game of Thrones, they usually go like that. From what I know, she has social anxiety. She's not very comfortable being around that many people talking about things.
Yeah, the other thing that I heard someone mention is they thought she might have been reading from a teleprompter too. I
mean, quite possibly. I know I noticed.
Yeah, I could see that.
Who was the other guy? There was Greg Miller. I forget the other guy's name.
Tim Geddes.
Tim Geddes. I know I saw him reading from a teleprompter quite a few times because he was trying to remember the names of like Square Enix departments and stuff, and his eyes were just like, okay.
Yeah, I wonder if they were having them read from the teleprompter so heavily because they were attempting to try to translate everything that was going to be said in as many languages as they possibly could, and they didn't really want a lot of deviation.
That's a good point. Seems likely.
It could account for some of the awkwardness, because I really felt like that was the worst part of the show, was the hosts and just the overall awkwardness of the way that they were presenting things.
The voiceover guy was very good, though.
Oh, I love him. He's for those that don't know, he was the voice of Lee Everett in the first season of the Walking Dead Telltale game.
I did know that too because I played that game.
And he is
not just his voice, but he was very good at guiding the other two presenters. They probably should have actually had him being the presenter.
I would totally be on board with that. In fact, I was actually going to say that, Ryu. He's got such a smooth voice. He would have been perfect just to have done it himself.
As long as we're talking about the presenters, I wanted to say really quickly that Tim Geddes and Greg Miller are from Kind of Funny Games, and which we all know if we've watched the Uncovered event because they said it a few times, but they actually did a podcast a couple of months ago on their YouTube channel where they talk about the fact that Square Enix approached them to do this event, and I watched that podcast a while ago, and it was like, Greg Miller is basically like, I'm really dumbfounded that they've chosen us to do this. We'll give it our all, but the reason that they were chosen was because it was a mix of Tim Geddes being a long-time Final Fantasy fan and Greg Miller kind of never liked it. He's tried to like Final Fantasy and just doesn't. So it was like, that was why Square Enix approached them. I don't know if there was some other, PR thought in it, like, oh, these guys are kind of fairly well-known YouTube upstart podcasters. They previously worked for IGN, and when they quit IGN, they started Kinda Funny, and I think that might have been why another reason Square Enix have chosen them. But overall, I was quite impressed with how they did, because in terms of like watching Kinda Funny and the things that they do, I'm not usually that impressed with them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd actually never even heard of them. I know that they came from IGN, but I've never heard of them at all. So they were completely new to me. That was the first time I'd ever actually seen them. And like I said, I felt like they came across awkward, but that may not have been their fault. So
I actually liked what they did. The only thing that I didn't find funny was the red button gag. It was funny at first when they mentioned like the release date had gotten leaked, and then it was funny at the end when they pressed it and nothing happened and said, "Oh no, it got delayed again." But the gag went on and on for the whole show. It's like, just shut up on the fucking red button.
the best part of the red button thing was Lena Headey threatening them with pressing the red button. I thought that was probably the best part of her interview. And I truly believe that she probably would have done something devious like that. So, so yeah, beyond the hosts and some of the guests they called up here, they announced so much stuff to surround Final Fantasy 15. I believe they're calling it the Final Fantasy 15 universe. One of the first things that they showed was a new 5-part anime series called Brotherhood that is being released one episode at a time on YouTube for free. The first episode was actually released the same night of the Uncovered event. Have you guys watched the first episode of Brotherhood?
Yes.
Yep.
Not yet.
I have. I watched it as well, and I actually really enjoyed it. I think the animation's solid. I think the voice cast is solid. I was impressed with it. I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah, there was a nice bit of action at the end.
Yes.
Yes. So cool.
I also like the character bits, like, Noctis being a picky eater and that kind of stuff. I enjoyed seeing that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think is the character's name Prompto? I'm sorry, I'm still learning.
Prompto, yeah.
Yeah.
Bump was the blonde one.
Yes, he seems to be kind of the goof of the bunch, and I think I'm really gonna enjoy his character. Everybody else seems to play it so straight. He's the comic relief, it seems like.
My favourite character has been Gladiolus for a while. Obviously, we won't know until we actually play the game, but I liked all of the moments. I really liked all of the characters in the anime and how they were portrayed. I don't really have a problem with any of it. It wasn't. I'm not going to say it was the best thing I've ever seen, but it was pretty enjoyable. It's pretty great.
The one thing that I don't think I gathered about this series is it supposed to be running concurrent with the events of Final Fantasy 15, or is it?
No.
Okay, so
I
this is
rewatched
all
the stream
pre
today.
Final Fantasy 15 then.
Yeah, this is all pre Final Fantasy
the movie.
15.
The movie is concurrent.
The
Yeah,
movie's concurrent.
Yeah, I knew Kingsglaive was concurrent, and speaking of that, we'll go ahead and roll right onto that.
I'm actually not so sure about that, because it really does seem like it takes place after the beginning of the game, because they already talk about what's the kingdom called again? The Lucis Kingdom being invaded and all that kind of stuff, and that
Good call,
happens
Tets.
at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
call.
And we've seen that in the trailers. So it seems to happen like actually during the game.
I wonder if this is going to run us right up to the point in which their car breaks down, which is where Final Fantasy 15 begins, I believe.
That's not where 15 begins. That is kind of where 15 begins, but 15 actually begins... Minor spoilers, but I read the Game Informer stuff today, and it said the game begins in... Like, the game actually begins with a boss battle, and then...
Yeah, that's right, I'm sorry, you're right.
And then with them pushing the car, so it really
Yes.
is just the moment they're outside the city for the first time. But yeah, Tets is right about the anime. It does seem like it's near the beginning of the game, at least.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to drive with the Brotherhood anime is just how close these four are. It's meant for character development, and I've heard some people complaining, why isn't this kind of stuff in the game? Why aren't you developing these characters this way in the game? And people expressing their concern about that. Is that a concern for you guys?
Not particularly.
Yeah, some things wouldn't want to sit through in a game, like especially if they threw all these in as flashbacks in the game, I think it might have gotten irritating to sit through, but because it's presented to us in a different format, it can get away with different things, but it's still giving us the characters. And similarly, we wouldn't want to see the Kingsglaive stuff probably in the game, because how the heck would they fit it in any good way? But I think it'll work well on its own as a movie.
Yeah, I think so too. And I started to say this, but we can move on into Kingsglaive. That was another announcement that they showed off. There's a fully CG movie coming out called Kingsglaive. We'll have Sean Bean acting, and I'm sorry, what is Noctis's father's name? Have they revealed that? If
King
they have,
Regis.
I've forgotten it. Is it Regis? Okay. Sean Bean will be playing King Regis. Lena Headey is going to be voicing Luna Freya, and Aaron Paul is going to be voicing a original character to this movie called Nyx. And the movie, the trailer that they showed looked flat out amazing. In fact, it looks a bit more detailed and amazing than even the game does. And the game looks really freaking. It looks as close to real life as you can get, I think. And somehow they've managed to take that up a notch with the film as well.
Honestly, I'm more interested in the movie than I am in the game. If you listen to our stream, I went into Gliverish when they announced Sean Bean. It's Sean Bean. I was like,
well, we know who's not making it out of the movie alive.
that's right, Ryu.
To be fair, I didn't think the guy was gonna survive to begin with. Now this voice with Sean Bean is like now he's going to have an amazing death. I thought he was gonna die. Now I think he's just gonna have this really fucking cool death.
I mean, he's nearly caught up to John Hurt's record. So he's got to keep going after those getting killed.
Thoughts on Kingsglaive on the whole?
I thought the trailer was live action at first.
Yes.
When I was watching it, when we were watching on stream, I was like, is this a live action movie? And then I kind of clocked the CG and I was like, okay, it'll be like a, live action CG amalgamation. I really still thought it was live action in some way. And it's only upon rewatching it that I'm like, okay, no, I can tell that it's CG now. But it was so detailed. It was crazy.
Yeah, I've actually heard people bitching about that. Bitching about the fact that it looks more detailed and real than the actual game does. And that I've heard people bitching about the choice of voice cast and stuff and how it's going to differ from the actual game.
Okay, with that I have a problem too. With the voice cast, even the characters that are in the game being voiced by different voice actors in the movie. And this is a problem that I have with movies altogether, because I'm a big fan of voice acting. And you have professional voice actors ignored in movies for famous people that aren't actually good at voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the same company doing the game and doing the movie, and you have Lena Headey, Sean Bean, Aaron Paul. Aaron Paul's not in the game, so it doesn't matter. But Lena Headey and Sean Bean's character are.
If you asked him to, I think he would be in the game because he is a giant nerd.
Yes, he is. But the thing is, it bothers me that you have voice actors for the game, but they don't seem to be worthy enough to be in the movie, and you had to have famous people in the movie voicing the characters.
I just read today that they actually wanted to have the movie cast in the game as well, but they couldn't do it because of the schedules and basically the cost involved and everything. But they wanted to have the movie voice cast in the game as well.
But why not the other way around?
Yeah.
I mean, does anyone find it remarkable that Square was actually able to hide the fact that they were making this film for so long?
They
Yeah.
didn't.
They
I
did.
heard about this
Yeah.
last year.
Well, I know it kind of leaked that they leaked some images and stuff from it, but I don't think it was ever the full announcement of a movie was never actually leaked, was it?
Well, I'm not sure, but I remember reading about it last year that there was something coming out, like a prequel CG thing, and even the name Kingsglaive. I read about this last year, and so I wasn't that surprised.
I mean, they managed to keep quiet the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and people were actually expecting, like, always checking for that, and they managed to keep it quiet. So I'm not surprised anymore that they managed to keep so much of that quiet. I have a theory that they were the ones that actually leaked the release date for Final Fantasy 15 to get people off the trail to all the other revelations that they had for the event.
I think you're probably right about that because it seems too convenient that Tabata came out at the end of the show and had that joke to pull about the release date already having been announced or whatever. So,
I mean, the only way to make sure that people don't learn what you really, want to hide is to tell them something different and then act like you really want to hide that.
I think, and this is just my opinion, but I really think that this is the best way for Square to go about their business going forward. I think the less information that they put out about games in development, films in development, the less there is a chance for people to complain and have high expectations and stuff like that. I think it's or I shouldn't say high expectations. You should always have high expectations. Overblown expectations, I think, is a better way to put that. But I think it's best to keep it on the down low until you actually are 80 to 90% complete and ready to actually announce that you have a release date for something. And I assume I have a very unpopular opinion.
No, actually, I agree.
Yeah, I don't have much of anything to say on that because it's basically common sense.
Well,
Which they didn't have before.
It does make sense, but I feel like what they've been doing with 15 is actually giving us a shitload of information without giving away too much in terms of the ATRs and all the trailers. Like, I think I can't think of another game that's had this many damn trailers. How many trailers does this game have now? And I'm not including the Versus 13 trailers. When it was like, since it's been 15, since the announcement at E3 in 2013, it's had a shitload of trailers, and I'm not complaining about that because they've all showed you something cool without, like, I still barely know what the plot is, and I'm okay. I'm good with that.
Kind of like The Force Awakens.
Yes, totally.
It's a good idea, but it gets you interested, but let's say compare it to Batman and Superman, which basically revealed their plot in their second trailer. That has the opposite effect because now you know too much from the trailers and now you're not really interested anymore. And it gets people really annoyed.
Or you just made a shit film, which also annoys people.
Yeah, and it also accounts to that movie.
Yeah, I guess we should go ahead and note that Kingsglaive does indeed run concurrently with the events of the game. So I'll be interested to see if they, if there's any mention of the events in Kingsglaive, or maybe show us snippets of things that happen in Kingsglaive in game and Final Fantasy 15.
There's just one thing I want to know. What the fuck is an Audi R8 doing in Final Fantasy?
Well, was it not that Versus Final Fantasy 13 was supposed to be a set in real world?
I mean, it was supposed to be like just taking like the modern contemporary real world aesthetic, but not really be, like real world. So it's, to me, it's kind of weird to see all that product placement in FF15, and because in the Kingsglaive trailer, in the background you see like a Japan Airlines logo on a billboard.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fucking weird because I don't think Japan exists in this world.
Well,
Yeah, they're
Nomura, I'm sure Nomura said like a long time ago that it was supposed to be like Tokyo. Maybe it's just drawn inspiration from that.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he said it was supposed to be Tokyo or a world exactly like our own, and just like Tokyo. And because some of the early trailers, it does look exactly like it's supposed to take place in Tokyo, but they never actually say.
Right.
But remember, the
'Cause they
tagline
used-
the tagline has always been, and still is in some of the modern trailers, this is a fantasy based on reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the Audi, in the reference to the airline, isn't the only reference, real world references either. They're also using like Coleman coolers and stuff, and when they're camping. If anyone's familiar with the Coleman brand.
Not
Afraid
really.
not.
Yeah, it might just be.
You lost
It's a
me
US
there.
cheap ass cooler brand, pretty
Yes,
much. I mean,
yes.
some good stuff, but it's budget.
They basically make camping camping tools, if you will. They also announced at the Uncovered event a new demo. This will be technically the third demo. They announced the Platinum demo, and I have not yet had a chance to play through this, but I know several of you have. Go ahead and talk about it.
Well, it gets a plus from me from the simple fact that I don't have to buy another game just to play the demo.
Is that it? Is that all you've got to say?
That drew silence.
No, it kind of like froze for a minute, so I was like, I don't know what happened here. It was between decent and good because it had problems, but I liked the Kingdom Hearts feels of it.
I have to say it wasn't necessarily the best representation for Final Fantasy 15 because it's really, I mean, essentially it's a weird tech demo. It really is mostly about just showcasing the graphics and the engine and the lighting and everything, and not so much about, actual gameplay, which Episode Duskai did a better job at that.
I don't understand why can't they just release that demo for everyone.
Because
The
that's no
episode just got
longer, the problem is that's no longer representative of the final product. And in terms of gameplay and like the UI and stuff, it's completely changed. Because in Duske you changed your weapons. You had like 5 weapons and you switched through them one by one, whereas they've changed that to now have you be able to equip weapons to the D-pad, which, by the way, is a much better system.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion. It's much more enjoyable. And they added magic to it as well, so it's not like the Duske demo just wouldn't really... If they released that for everyone now, people would be expecting that, and that's not what's coming.
What I want is a trailer with the actual gameplay that's going to be in the game that I can actually try. Because I said it before, and I wasn't going to buy another game just for the demo.
I hope that they're going to give a very in-depth tutorial on how to use all of the battle system. From the sounds of it and the way that they've revamped stuff, it sounds like they've made it pretty complicated. More complicated than it should be, anyway.
It seems it's less complicated now, in my opinion, than it was in Duske.
Did any of you, just out of curiosity, in Duske, did any of you realize that you could lock on to a target? I know
Yes.
I'd seen many people mention that they didn't know you could lock on to your targets.
It tells you in the opening tutorial.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if people didn't get that, they are dumb. Pretty much.
Who pays
No, the
attention
one-
to tutorials? Those never tell you anything important.
One of the but the tutorial that's at the start of Duske is a tutorial that if you fail at something, you cannot continue, and you have to keep doing it until you get it. So I kind of don't understand how people could It's easy to play it for a bit and then forget that certain functions exist if you don't use them. In Duske, for example, you can block by holding one of the back buttons. It might be L1 or R, I forget what one it is. But you hold one of the back buttons to block. and that is a major change because what they've done is they have made the attack button circle in the new demo, and they've made the block or defend function is now square, so you cannot, like in Duske you could kind of hold in block until you saw an opening for attack and then kind of attack, and you can still do that, but it was almost like cheating in Duske because you could hold in block almost constantly, whereas you really have to think about switching between the two. You can't do both at the same time.
I hear that the platinum demo version of Carbuncle is just adorable.
Oh, that was so the cutest thing ever.
It's quite cute.
It's kind of amazing what has happened to Carbuncle from his first appearance as a giant, toothy-mouthed lizard monster to this. Like, every single extra appearance, he's become smaller and cuter and more adorable, with the exception of 13, but he was still pretty harmless.
I kind of feel like they cheated in making it cute, because they basically just took a fennec fox, which is already one of the most adorable creatures on this earth, and just slapped a red horn on it.
I mean, he was already pretty close to being a fennec fox, anyways. After his last few iterations, where they've gone and made him tinier and fluffier.
I really enjoyed the demo. I thought it was quite short.
Yeah, I heard it's about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much exploration you do.
Like pushing 30.
25 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, well, I suppose you could push it to an hour if you were like really, really trying to explore everything. But I kind of took my time with it and went very slow. I think it took me half an hour. Duske, on the other hand, was about 4 hours at least. I don't know, if you speed run Duske, it would take you maybe about 2.5 hours if you like ignored everything, but like there's so much in there. This demo is very much because this demo has a very different function. This demo is not here is a chunk of the game. This demo is like here's like a little thing that you can have, that won't be in the game, but is like representative of something that's close to the final product.
And not to mention, if you complete the demo, I believe Carbuncle carries over to the actual Final Fantasy 15 game.
Yes. And you can name him.
Best thing about the whole demo.
Does he in fact cast Reflect?
No, he heals you.
Even better.
He heals you. No longer does Carbuncle reflect. Maybe it will in the main game, who knows?
I mean, that's like what he did in Revenant Wings.
Yeah, I haven't played Revenant Wings, so I own it. I've just never played it. Okay, moving on from the Platinum demo, they also announced one of the mini games that I don't know if this is going to be the only mini game. I don't think it is, but one of the primary mini games in Final Fantasy 15 is going to be a pinball game called Justice Monsters 5. And they are actually putting this out on mobile phones. I believe pre-registration is going on. It did take me quite some time to figure out where the hell to pre-register for it, because there's actually nothing on the Square Enix website for pre-registration. But if it's something you're interested in, I will actually put a link to where you can pre-register for it so that you don't have to go scouring the internet to find it. What did you guys think of the Justice Monsters 5 thing?
It was okay.
It looks like a pinball-like game.
Yeah, it's not really. It's hard to kind of have an opinion on it. It's a random minigame.
I know in general this show has been very negative towards mobile Final Fantasy games, so I just...
Oh, because they suck.
Yeah, well, the thing is, this isn't the same sort of game as the other ones. This is actually a game that you could play on mobile.
Yeah, it's like, this is a relatively inoffensive thing. I saw it and I was kind of like, oh wow, cool. I didn't go, oh, more mobile products, Square, microtransactions, it's cool that it's a minigame that's going to be in the final game. And you can play it on mobile, so there you go.
It's like, okay, moving on.
What would be very interesting, what would be awesome is if somehow they were able to tie in the mobile version of that to the actual Final Fantasy 15 game, and it reap you some type of rewards for high scores and things of that nature.
I'd be surprised if they didn't do that, but I'm sure Tabata said something recently about... I'm not sure whether he said it would be or wouldn't be, but he's mentioned it recently, so we should probably go check that out or something.
For sure. Of course, they also announced the release date for Final Fantasy 15. It is going to be September 30th.
They did not announce that because it got
had
leaked.
been leaked, yes. And they kind of teased around with us when they finally did show the date. Originally, it showed November 30th, and then they rolled it back to September 30th. So, funny enough, was listening to another podcast covering this event, and they one of the hosts was hoping that it was going to be released around Christmas time because he was going to be out of school and he'd have time to play. And so he was super stoked when they showed November 30th. He was screaming and cheering and stuff. And then it rolls back to September, and he's like, motherfuckers!
Yeah.
I mean, he can always wait.
Yeah.
Use patience and self-control. Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot we were talking about the internet. You're right. Never mind. Never worked.
Actually, 10 days after my birthday.
Ooh.
There's your birthday present, Carlie.
Yep. The
Yeah,
internet
that's
will
not gonna be my
spoil
birthday present.
everything about the game for you. That's your birthday present.
Eh, it's not that big of a
Also,
deal.
lots of porn. There will be lots of porn of it.
Are we entering After Dark territory already?
Oh no, this
Well-
is just cynicism. If I talk about what kind of porn, it's after dark.
You could make it my birthday if the movie or the game or both of them had a lesbian relationship in it. That would definitely be a plus.
Well, I mean, Noctis and Luna, I mean, he's nearly girly.
Kind of like Cloud and Tifa.
Along with the release date information, they did announce that there's going to be 3 different releases of this game. There is the Day 1 edition, which is going to run at approximately $59.99. Will include Masamune DLC weapon. If you pre-order it through the Xbox store, the incentives, you get 2 Xbox One avatars, Noctis' special suit, and a carbuncle pet. And the PlayStation Store pre-order incentive is a dynamic PS4 theme. The next version they announced was the Deluxe Edition, which runs at $89.99. It includes all the Day 1 Edition DLC. Comes in a dual-disc steel case, including a Blu-ray of Kingsglaive. And it also comes with the Platinum Leviathan Regalia design and access to the Royal... Is it Raiment costume DLC?
Raymond.
And then there's the super exclusive, already sold out, so if you're listening to this, there's no chance of you getting it yet. Ultimate Collector's Edition, which ran at $269.99.
For crazy people.
Yeah. It included all Deluxe Edition content, plus steelbooks containing the official Final Fantasy XV soundtrack on Blu-ray, and it also would include tracks from Final Fantasy XV, Kingsglaive, and Brotherhood. Brotherhood Blu-ray, which would also include an exclusive 6-episode, and this is, by the way, is the only way you could get the Brotherhood anime on Blu-ray if you wanted it, which I find rather disappointing. We can get into that in a minute, though.
Why? It's an anime. What's the big deal with Blu-ray?
Because
with
I'm a completionist, damn you. That's why. I need it. It comes with a hardcover art book. It also comes with an exclusive limited edition PlayArts Kai Noctis action figure. And some in-game item packs. Back to the fucking Brotherhood Blu-ray, though, which really pisses me off. This apparently would have been the only way you could get the Brotherhood anime on Blu-ray and get that exclusive 6-episode. That's really annoying that this is the only way that they were presenting you could actually get your hands on
They're
it.
gonna release it at some point on its own.
I'm sure they will. But it's just annoying the fact that for now this is the only way you could have gotten it, and they limited this collector's edition to 30,000 worldwide. Now, if you believe
I got one.
Yes, he did. He spent all night arguing with the Square Enix store in the UK
Yeah.
because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
It was actually very funny and entertaining. And I stayed up much later than I was supposed to because I was just having so much fun with them complaining that they couldn't like I think that's a sign that maybe they're spending way too much money on that because most of those things in that collector's edition you can buy separately. The figure, which I'm guessing is why it's so expensive. I'm not gonna buy a figure for a character that I don't know yet because what happens is it ends up that the character sucks. Then I have a figure for a character that I don't like. If it was someone like they say the Uncharted series like Nathan Drake, I will understand. I'm not gonna pay for it, but I will understand why it's expensive. It's a character that you know already, but I'm not gonna pay that money for a character that I don't know.
Unless
I
it's
honestly
clout.
don't care about the action figure. I really, really, really don't. I'm not an action figure person. I don't give a shit about them. But in terms of the price, it's not really that overpriced for a Square Enix Collector's Edition, and I know that's kind of a ridiculous thing to say considering like the price is quite high. But Play Arts Kai figures normally go for about 100 to 140 US dollars anyway. And in the UK, the price overall was £190, so it wasn't too bad. And
If it wasn't for the action figure, I would have probably bought this because I want everything in the Ultimate Collector's Edition but the action figure.
yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm in
I have
agreement.
no interest in that figure at all.
And it's what's making this so fucking expensive.
Mhm,
Yeah, I mean, you
that's
could
true.
probably cut $140 off of that just for the action figure, and it dropped that price down to much more affordable and much more easier to swallow $130. I don't know. It just the fact that they also limited it to 30,000 copies, and then come to find out that it seems like a very large majority of the stock was bought by scalpers that are going to turn around and scalp the fuck out of them on eBay.
Yeah, I think they just mentioned it today or yesterday that they might actually produce more, and the limit of 30,000 is because that's pretty much the production limit. That's how much they could actually make, and that's how much they could produce of the Play Arts Kai figure and actually ship worldwide.
No, I totally get that. I understand the business reasons for limiting it. I think, though, my frustration more so would be that if knowing that it was limited quantities, that you would limit people's purchase limits to one apiece.
That was really dumb because I was following that on NeoGAF at the time, and some guy managed to like order 10
That's
PS4
fucking ridiculous.
copies, 10 PS4 copies, and 8 Xbox One copies of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's excessive and ridiculous. It really
That
is.
is
Yeah.
on the UK store. I don't know about the rest of Europe, but on the UK store, you could buy up to 3. But even then, that was like I did not understand that at all.
I mean, this is probably an age-old argument at this point about scalpers that buy stock of everything and then, mark it up 80% and throw it on eBay, or mark it up more than that, sometimes 200, 300%.
Capitalism.
Yeah, I mean, it happens with everything. I collect He-Man and the Masters of the Universe action figures, and when new figures for that come out, it seems like the scalpers just buy the fuck out of those things, and if you want it, you have to resort sometimes to paying the exorbitant prices for it, and it's a really huge annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just hope that they release all this stuff separately.
Agreed.
I mean, I think it's pretty much a given for the soundtrack.
Yes.
That's just a thing they do, but the art book is the thing that I really want.
They're going to release that separately too.
I want that art book, and I really want the Brotherhood Blu-ray. I'm almost about 95% confident that they are going to release the Brotherhood Blu-ray separately eventually. It's just, it sucks that this was the only way to obtain it at this point.
Yeah,
At this
I agree.
point. Don't assume that the current state of affairs will be the state of affairs for all eternity.
No,
Because that's
what I'm
merch
saying,
and they
Ryu.
will sell it. Yeah.
I did end up personally. I ended up doing the deluxe edition. For the extra $30, I could swallow that to get the Kingsglaive Blu-ray. So I'm really looking forward to getting my copy when it comes out. And I
can't wait to see that on Blu-ray. It's gonna look fucking
yeah,
amazing.
it really is. I ended up pre-ordering my copy of the game through Amazon because they offer same-day shipping. So hoping I can. That's going to be sitting on my doorstep actually on release day. So
It's lucky for you that you live in America, because if I do not have access on Amazon the same day shipping.
oh, that sucks.
So that's why I'm getting the digital regular version on the PS4 store.
Did everyone else pre-order through the Square store?
Nope.
Yep. I did.
If I had the option to not do that, if I could pre-order on... If the deluxe edition was available on Amazon UK, which it is not, by the way, only
Weird.
the regular edition is. It's available on Amazon America, the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
But if the deluxe edition was available on Amazon UK, I might cancel my collector's edition and just get the deluxe edition because I trust Amazon shipping more. Amazon shipping in my specific area, there's like a warehouse near me, and with the type of shipping that they do, I always get games one day early.
No shit. That's amazing.
Always the day before release. So I would absolutely switch if I could. But Square Enix have this really nasty habit of, in the UK at least, only allowing you to order their collector's edition or anything that's not the base game directly from their store, and I fucking hate their store, and I hate everything about it. But like, they're forcing me to do that right now, which I don't like.
He said that a lot that night.
Yeah, it really pissing me off because the store wouldn't work. It was driving me nuts. I had to spend like 3 hours trying to get to the damn page to actually order the thing.
Well,
But if they let me switch, I would do it in a heartbeat.
I can relate to your pain, Lex. When trying to order some He-Man figures on Mattel's website, that fucking thing on release day, that fucking thing you get what we affectionately refer to as the white screen of death. Basically, what happens is every time you try to advance a screen, it pops up this white screen that says. It shows the Matty Collector logo, and it says something about we've got too much traffic, so please wait here on this screen while we advance you to the next screen, and sometimes you're waiting on that for 20-25 minutes before it advances you.
That would have been great. And I'm not just saying that to be funny. That would have been awesome if that's what Square Enix's store did when this thing went live. Because in the US store is obviously run differently. The reason it sold out so quickly in the US was because people were getting their orders through. It did not sell quickly in the UK, and the reason for that is, or like Europe in general, and the reason for that is because the damn store did not work. It stopped working altogether, and it wasn't just... It was obviously too much traffic, but like the people that make the store run properly hadn't fucking shown up to work yet because it was given like service unavailable errors and all sorts of shit. And what happens with an order is you have to put it in the basket, and then you have to like click the checkout button, and it takes you to another screen. You have to click another button, and then you have to put in your payment information. And so there's like these 4 steps. And what was happening was it was booting you out, and then you had to start from square one. And there was like maybe a 1 in 10, 1 in 15 chance that you would successfully get to the next page. So there's like a 1 in 10, 1 in 15 chance of me getting through the first step, and then like you couldn't hit back, you couldn't copy the URL and like repeatedly try it. You literally had to go through these 4 steps every time, and if at one point that failed, you had to start all over again. So I was losing my mind after about 2 hours of trying to put the damn order through. But I eventually got it.
I can imagine, yeah.
It was about 2.5, 3 hours of like constantly trying it. Constant.
I would have been so fucking pissed off.
I was just so determined. It was one of those ones where I was like, well, I'll order the Ultimate Collector's Edition, what do I do? Blah, blah, blah. And then when I found out how difficult it was, it just spurred me on even more, and I was like, I need it now.
Can I ask, Lex, since you didn't want the action figure, what made you want the collector's or Ultimate Collector's Edition as opposed to the Deluxe Edition?
I want the rest of it.
Oh, well, good call.
I want the rest of it. I don't care about the action figure. I don't not want the action figure. I just think the whole package is kind of worth it, because I mean the reason I don't really care about the action figure is, okay, the best collector's edition I've ever bought in my life was for Sonic Generations. I've got two that I'm really happy with. One was Sonic Generations, the other one was Uncharted 3. And those both came with figures, and I just don't care about them. But like the Sonic one comes with this. They made 12,000 of the Sonic Generations collector's editions, and it comes with like a gold ring that has like the number of years in the collection inscribed on it, and it has the soundtrack, and it has the game, and it has a figure, and it has like a bunch of other stuff, and it's just this big, massive, amazing package that cost like 90 quid. That was like 100 quid cheaper than this. Which is one of the reasons it's one of my most like prized collector's editions. So I don't mind having the figure. Like it's sort of a nice collectible to have, but I'm not one of those people that like plays with it or like brings it out and puts it on a shelf. It stays in the box. What I care about is the package as a whole, and it does seem like it's worth it to me, at least.
Yeah, I like I said, I couldn't personally swallow the $270 for the Ultimate Collector's Edition. It's just well, first of all, I couldn't swallow it, and my wife would have murdered me shortly thereafter. So,
it could have been worse.
She would have got a good reason.
What's that?
Yeah,
it would have been a good reason for it. She killed you.
But it could have been worse. You could have gotten any of the pre-orders for the Assassin's Creed movie.
I'm not sure I follow you. Were you?
Oh, you didn't hear about this?
No.
I won't go over into too much detail. But so there's an Assassin's Creed movie come out, and you can pre-order your ticket. And if you pre-order with a lot of money, you can get extra stuff with your ticket, like a crossbow or a hoodie, or even stupider things. They go up to $2,000.
Wow,
it is.
It's the dumbest shit ever. But pretty much
It's
part for the
Ubisoft.
course for Ubisoft.
No,
because,
I hadn't heard about that.
that's
What
the
the
thing they
serious
do.
fuck? Wow. Thank you, Square, for not doing something like that.
Yet.
Hey, don't give them ideas. Okay. So yeah, moving on from the different editions that they announced. They also announced that Florence and the Machine is doing a cover of Stand By Me that appears to be being featured in the game itself. Whenever I think about the song Stand By Me, I can't help but think of the fantastic Stand By Me film, and I'm almost 100% positive that is why this song was chosen specifically for Final Fantasy XV. I thought the cover was pretty well done. Definitely a better choice than using J-pop or something like that, so...
Leona Lewis. Leona
Lewis's song in Final Fantasy XIII is brilliant.
I'm just like, because Lexi's annoyed every single time I rip Leona Lewis song on Final Fantasy XIII. It's like, excuse
Because
me,
it's
but Leona
short-sighted
Lewis
and
is
stupid.
amazing.
Wow.
That's why.
Wow.
See what I mean? It's hilarious.
Wow.
And you're obviously a fool of the highest order.
Wow. Oh, God.
Just all of you say Leona Lewis and you hate it. It gets him so
Well,
annoyed.
I mean, I'm not a Leona Lewis fan at all, but I'm a metalhead, so I could give a fuck about the song on the game, but yeah, I mean, it seemed to fit okay with Final Fantasy 13 as far as it was concerned. I just didn't pay much mind to it.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Stan,
I can imagine him wagging his fingers.
shut your pie hole, right? Stand By Me is Stand By Me. So it's a lovely cover and it does seem to fit with the tone of the game. But I really, 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 really wish it had been an original song and not Stand By Me. Not because it doesn't fit well, but just because if you take Leona Lewis's song in Final Fantasy XIII, right, that was not a song written for the game, but it's not a well-known song or a cover. It's one of Leona Lewis's songs, and it really fits the theme of the game. So it fit well, but here they've not gone, okay, Florence and the Machine, can you write us a song for this game? Or, hey, Florence and the Machine, can we use this song from your new album as a theme for the game because it fits really well? They've gone, can you cover Stand By Me? Because, and I understand that it does seem to fit with the theme of the game, but it's Stand By Me and it's such an iconic song, so I don't have a problem with it, it's a lovely cover. It's just, like, if you're watching the stream and you watch the moment in both of the trailers that they showed where that song plays, the audience laughs.
Yeah.
And that is the reaction that I had on the stream as well, because I was like, I'm not sure how to feel about this.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I had heard some folks talking about this. I think what actually happened here was Florence and the Machine actually went to Square and actually asked to do a song for Final Fantasy 15, and I think it was their choice to do the cover of Stand By Me. I don't think Square asked them to do Stand By Me. I think, if I understood correctly, it sounds like Florence actually did that all themselves. And it also sounded like apparently Stand By Me means I guess there's no I don't know how to put this properly. It's Stand By Me by itself as a song doesn't really hold a special place in the hearts of the Japanese, from what I understand. It's more the correlation to the film, which apparently is huge in Japan.
All right.
Yeah, so
That seems odd because Florence and the Machine, or Lex played Dragon Age 2. One of their songs is used in Dragon Age 2. It wasn't like they covered on a song, it was one of their songs. It was not one of their famous songs, but it was used for the game and it fit the story of that video game and it worked really well.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what went into Florence and the Machine's choice to want to do the Stand By Me cover and rather than do an original song. I don't know if it was just that they loved the song so much, or just maybe exhaustion, writer's block. Who knows? I don't know.
I mean, at least they
I
choose...
do like this because I already liked her. I do like that she's like the Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
for sure.
fan. That she's like a massive nerd. I very much approve of that.
I'm kind of indifferent about the choice of the song here, but I will say that I like that they kind of included the prelude into this arrangement.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
good
awesome.
call. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are some other bands out there too that I think would have done an outstanding job doing a song for a Final Fantasy soundtrack. I believe Within Temptation's lead singer is a big fan of.
Oh my god, I love Within Temptation.
Me too. And I believe she's a big fan, and I'm pretty sure it is the lead singer from Lacuna Coil is also a big Final Fantasy fan.
I've heard that too. Can I just say quickly though, I'm actually a huge fan of Florence and the Machine.
Yeah,
And
I don't
think
have a
that's-
problem with them. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
I'm a huge fan of Florence and the Machine. I've listened to their first album like 100 times, and I think part of my problem with this Stand By Me cover is that there are so many other Florence and the Machine songs that could have been used that I think would fit a Final Fantasy game so well, because that's partly why I like their music. It's really beautiful and whimsical and kind of epic, and it really fits the tone of Final Fantasy in some ways, which might have been why they were interested in doing it, who knows, but Stand By Me, man. Just like, come on.
There was a really funny moment where we were watching the stream that the song started and a few people recognized who the singer was, but a few people after the song was over was like thinking about it. So, oh, that's Florence Welch. The funny thing is, I was like, when the song started, I said, oh, that's Florence Welch. and no one said anything. And then they were like, "Is that fireplace?" And I was like, "I just said that." And then I noticed I was muted the whole fucking time.
The life of Carlie in a nutshell.
Happens more to Lex than it happens to me.
Okay, so beyond that, they did show us some really gorgeous gameplay and environmental trailers. The environmental trailer, specifically, I thought was just gorgeous. The amount of detail that they were able to put into the environments just made it seem so lifelike. I mean, this might be the most lifelike Final Fantasy we've ever seen.
There's this one environment that they showed just before they showed Alticia. There's like this mountainous region with like a lot of bridges and
Yes.
shit. It's like I really want to explore
For
that.
sure. I'm gonna apologize because I don't know all the names of the cities yet, but the one that looks like they travel by boat all over the place just looks gorgeous.
Yeah, that would be Alticia, I think.
Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of like
It's
Venice
gonna
on
be-
steroids.
Yeah. That's actually what I was getting ready to say.
It does
Tets.
look amazing. Yeah.
In fact, I actually have Alticia set as my background on my computer right now. It's just gorgeous.
I can't wait to see the fan-made video of that scene of them in the boat with the Lonely Islands on the boat. Unless it's already out there. I haven't checked.
Holy shit. And kind of the last thing that they showed us, the very last thing they showed us was another Final Fantasy 15 trailer, all in Japanese. And they kind of snuck in a little tag at the very end of the trailer showing us that the car can fly.
That was
It's
a
so
pretty
stupid,
awesome
and I
moment.
love it.
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome.
It was a really amazing moment.
That's the kind of convertible I want to buy.
For sure.
The first thing I thought was like saying, "Where we're going, we don't need roads."
That would have been awesome if they would have snuck that in there. But yeah, I mean, I know people kind of were outraged when Tabata had initially said there wasn't any plans for airships. This was kind of a really cool compromise, I think, with making the car able to fly.
Yes,
I'll
it
be
was so awesome.
I'll be curious to see if this is something that's you're able to do right away with the car, or if it's something that you're going to get as an upgrade later in the game.
Pretty sure it's an
It
upgrade.
looks like a completely different car, so I'm guessing it's an upgrade.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was really cool, and it's a really cool idea. So I'm looking forward to being able to see what kind of camera views you can get when the car's flying and such. Seeing the landscape from below.
You know, this game really needs a photo mode where you can just kind of freeze
Yes.
the game and then just, turn the camera around and just kind of take screenshots and shit. It really needs that.
Totally. I totally agree with that, Tets. The game is so beautiful. The backgrounds and it's just gorgeous, and it deserves to be able to be screenshotted and made into postcards and shit. So yes, totally agree. Any other thoughts about the uncovered Final Fantasy 15 event that maybe I missed or we haven't covered yet?
The only comment I have is that every time that I see the name for Stand By Me, my brain does a split second wait of replacing it with Take On Me, and that is a hilarious thought.
Take on me.
You know, and
God.
Take on me.
oddly enough, might fit with Final Fantasy 15 as well.
I know, that's the funniest part.
Real quick, I did want to mention that I had seen some people complaining about Luna Freya's design in Kingsglaive as compared to her design in Final Fantasy 15, and just some overall bitching that her outfit is much more detailed in the Kingsglaive film, and there's some general blubbering about the fact that her character model is just significantly different from what you see in the game.
She
So
looks
they're
like
It's a bit
complaining because she
jarring.
looks different in the better animated
Yes.
version. Shock of shocks.
Yes.
she looks like an adult woman in Kingsglaive, where she looks like she was 12 in the game.
Yeah.
12? Really? She doesn't look that young. She looks about 18-ish, I would say.
I'm exaggerating. That's the point.
That's quite an exaggeration, like, between 18 and 12.
That's pre-puberty to post-puberty in its entirety.
Let's say no, she does not look 18. Let's say 16, maybe.
No, she looks older. Listen, by Japanese standards, she's positively geriatric. Like,
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Well,
definitely.
she hasn't immediately poofed into the hunched-over turtle form.
But yeah, obviously.
So
she
she's
look-
only in her 60s by anime
So
standards.
obviously, she's gonna look better in the CGI movie. It's a movie.
Yeah, I
But
totally
the thing
agree.
is, though, that Regis kind of looks the same, more or less. I mean, it's better graphics in the movie, but it's still kind of the same face. But Luna, like, straight up has a different face in the movie.
Yeah, she seems older in the film for sure, based on how they designed her. I don't know. I guess I just don't find it that big a damn deal. It is what it is. I'm going to enjoy it either way.
Yeah, but it's just a little bit odd because they have now, like, she now has a different voice across the game and the movie and a different face. So it's kind of it's a weird choice, but
well,
whatever.
I don't know if that's going to make the biggest difference to me because I'm probably going to play the game in Japanese but watch the movie in English. Or vice versa, who knows?
Let me ask Lex, why would you choose to play the game in Japanese?
Because he hates English voice actors.
Really?
That's so untrue. That's completely not true at all. I've never actually played any Final Fantasy game with Japanese voices unless it's been like a replay or like for replay value or whatever. I think I played Lightning Returns once with Japanese voices. I normally use the English dub. The reason I'm probably going to play 15 with the Japanese voices is because from what I've seen so far, they're so much better.
See, I don't know, man. And this is one of the primary reasons that I typically dislike anime is because of the voice acting. I find the voice acting to be just for the most part.
In English or Japanese?
In Japanese. Yeah,
What?
I don't prefer the Japanese voice acting at all.
If you had played Duske, you would be agreeing with me, though. That's the
I
thing.
did play Duske.
Like, Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 13 had kind of on par English and Japanese voice acting. If we're being realistic, they really did. 13 more so had really, really like good parity between the two. Like it didn't really matter which one you chose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that had to do with the fact who the voice cast was.
Right.
Bailey,
Shut your
Baker,
pile.
Larry Hillis.
Right, so like 15, though some of the English voices are really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like really bad. Ignis is terrible. Like it's difficult to listen to, and I've played with the Japanese voices, and it just seems to fit the characters more for me.
I don't know what it is, but it's just the most of the anime that I have watched, and I've watched quite a bit of it because my wife is very fond of it, but I can't stand the typical female voice acting, Japanese voice acting in anime. They're really annoying. And I watched a little bit of a playthrough of the episode to Sky demo. Someone was actually playing with the Japanese voice acting, and I just could not stand the Prompto voice actor at all. He
You're
was
so
very
weird.
annoying.
You realise you're like the opposite of almost every fan ever of anything.
Well, I realize that I'm a different cat, but I don't know, man. It's
like I'm
it
not
just
that guy.
bothers me.
I'm not that guy that says, oh, like I'm not a Nazi for like the Japanese dub. I'm not that guy. Even in anime, I'm just like watch whatever you prefer. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not trying to dissuade anybody. I was just curious as to why you preferred the Japanese dub over the English dub.
I think the English dub so far is terrible. Unless they've changed the voice actors, which they said they might, then I don't think I'll be able to play it in English. Like, honestly.
I might try to play through it with the Japanese dub after I play through it the first time. Might run through it a second time with the Japanese dub just to see if it makes a difference. I don't know.
The question is, who's going to play it with the German dub?
Oh yeah, I forgot that was happening.
Yeah, I think they're also doing a Hispanic dub too, correct?
Yes.
I really don't give a shit.
All right, so Carlie, you've got to play it in German. You're going to play it in English because Lex has already got the Japanese covered, and Vader, you're going to have to do the Hispanic.
I only took 1 year of Spanish, guys. Sorry.
You're right, and let me add to that: no subtitles.
Well, that would work better for you because then you will notice that it's fucking terrible because that's how usually it is in Spanish with the dubs. And they're awful. If I go to a movie theater and they offer me a free ticket to watch a movie in Spanish or pay the full price in English, I'll still play the full price in English.
I don't doubt you. I have actually seen a couple of Spanish dubbed anime, and they are hilariously bad. Not as bad as the Italian ones that I've seen.
The only exception I can tell you is The Simpsons. They had a really decent Spanish dub.
Okay, any other thoughts on the Uncovered event before we move on? No? Okay. That being said, that closes up our discussion on the Uncovered Final Fantasy XV event. We, of course, at TheLifestream.net will be keeping you updated on all the Final Fantasy XV news as it is uncovered here, as it were. We did get one piece of listener feedback here, response to the latest episode of the Final Fantasy retrospective, which of course was part 2 of Final Fantasy IV. And I'll go ahead and read it off here because it's real brief. This comes from Minato, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, close enough.
Minato says, "You guys break my heart with your attacks on the Final Fantasy IV soundtrack. Red Wings is greater than Final Fantasy X world map theme. How's that for listener feedback? For favorite character story arc, I'd say Cloud or Tidus, but those are kind of the obvious answers, so I'm going to go with Gabbrinth."
Question: what is the FF10 world map theme?
For sure.
Yeah, wondered that myself.
For sure. And I don't think that we all slandered the Final Fantasy IV soundtrack at all. In fact, I mentioned that I really liked the Final Fantasy IV soundtrack, and I believe Ryu did as well. And JT. So, and I really don't think any of us really just threw it under the bus anyway. We just kind of mentioned that it was kind of subpar when compared up against some of the latter Uematsu soundtracks.
Which is true.
But, the man improves as work continues.
Correct.
It still has some really good tracks in there.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
The theme of love says it all.
For Fiend.
Yeah, that too.
So good that he ripped himself off for Final Fantasy V.
As far as favorite character story arc with Gabbrinth, he didn't really elaborate, but what do you guys think about that?
I'm not sure what about Gabbrinth's makes it his favorite. Like, if he had commented a bit more, what about Gabbrinth made it his...
Gabbranth?
There is a...
Stop saying Gabbranth.
Yeah.
Are we driving you nuts with that, Lex? Gabbrinth!
Gabran. Come on, guys. The game has voice acting. It's fucking Gabram. If you want to say it in an English accent.
All right, so Gabby. But yeah, no, I mean, because there's a lot to Gabby's story. It's just sort of what about it makes it your favorite, Minato?
Yeah,
Tell us.
please. Yeah, that was the only piece of listener feedback we got. And with that said, here we do want to leave you with a question. How did you feel about the uncovered Final Fantasy XV event? And should Square Enix do more of these kinds of events in the future? Let us know. I'm curious to hear what the overall consensus was on this. So
I wouldn't mind a remake event like that.
yeah,
Pare it down a little, get better, scripting on the hosts. I don't think they did enough rehearsing for that.
yeah, I would totally agree. Or get in, bring in somebody that's respectable to do the
You're right.
announcing.
You're right. Square Enix, I'm humbly volunteering. I think I can do it justice.
I think you could do, Ryu. You should totally do the voiceover work, and you should do it in the voice that you do it the introduction to the retrospective pod in.
Oh, the Sagan
Yes,
voice.
totally.
I can totally do the Sagan voice for 3 hours. No problem. It is an excellent voice. I could do it for billions upon billions of minutes.
I can't imagine that they are not going to do a big event for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's no way that they couldn't not do a big event like that.
We'll see.
Speaking of the remake, I just remembered we actually had a little bit of news
Oh,
today.
you're right, Tets.
I'm not
I'm
sure if
sorry.
we
I
should
totally
discuss that.
no, and I meant to add that, and I spaced it. Go ahead, Tets.
Yeah, basically, there's this bit in Game Informer in the latest issue, and Yoshinori Kitase talked about how they want to structure the multi-part release of the remake, and they basically said they want to do it kind of like the FF13 series, and that each part is going to be like a full-length game, so as long as each of the FF13 installments would be. So basically, we could be looking at an actual trilogy of 30-hour games each.
Huzzah! What
Yeah.
was predicted from the beginning?
Yep.
Good to
The
hear
only
confirmation,
thing-
though.
Yeah, the only thing that I would wish from it, in addition to that, is the ability to go back to places that are not plot important in the later games, so that you can backtrack.
I
It'd
agree.
be interesting to see how they handle that. And I think a lot of the community seems concerned about the mentioning that they're going to alter the story in some fashion. And I mean, I guess I'm less concerned about that because I can always go back and play the original Final Fantasy VII. but
Yep.
I'm actually more intrigued than I am concerned about that. I hope what they do add is better than what came out of the compilation games.
I actually don't think they're gonna, change anything. I don't think there's gonna be any radical changes. So I'm not too concerned either, to be honest.
I mean, what they might say is that there was never anybody named Genesis. Look
Yes,
away.
please.
Do not talk about Genesis. There was an NGL, but no Genesis.
I'll take that. I would totally take that. Yeah, so that said, we do want to hear from you. So send your questions and feedback to us at lifestreampod@gmail.com. You can also reply to the episode posts each week on the lifestream.net forums. Please leave us feedback on iTunes, and we will do our best to read your questions, comments, and feedback on air. And again, we'd like to thank you for listening to the Lifestream Final Fantasy Podcast. Take care, and always protect the crystals.
Final Fantasy Chocobo Drift.
Music featured on this podcast is courtesy of Incompetech.com.